So talking about the visual feel of your films, obviously, like I said, Shaitan had that
Right.
feel, and David obviously had three different stories, one of which was black and white, so it had a completely different look. Do you decide, or are you very sure about how the film is going to look, or is that something that you discover along the way as the shooting
I'm
starts?
very, very clear on. Like I said, those are things I'm very particular about in terms of the because I need to know. I need to know the look and feel of the film as I'm writing it. Like when I'm writing it, I need to figure out in my head what. In fact, I write with music also. I write with music references in terms of I write with music references. In what kind of a sound will be there in the film, what kind of a look and feel will be there for the film, because that helps my writing, that helps me craft.
So for example, in Shaitan, the kind of music that you've used, has any of that come from the music that you were listening to when you were writing in terms of references?
Shaitan, the music was ready when we were writing the script.
Oh.
I had collected the music while the script was being done, except for I think one or two songs. I had the music ready in my I'd gone and compiled from different musicians. So the music was there because I remember when we were auditioning, I used to play it for the actors. I used to play it like, this is the kind of music we're looking at, just to give them an idea. So we had the music ready. So that's something, like I said, it helps me when I'm writing. It gives you because it's a matter of rhythm, somewhere that rhythm sets in your head, that you're looking at a film with a certain rhythm, a certain pace, and I'm not just saying like a fast rhythm. I'm talking about even for a mood and feel. You have an idea. This is the soundscape of the film. This is the look and feel of the film. Look and feel also. I discuss, like I extensively have a lot of discussion with my cinematographers on what kind of mood and lighting we should go for and what we should completely avoid. So that's something.
But is there a lot of referencing that happens between you and the cinematographer in terms of, like, for example, for Shaitan, where you kind of continuously referring to maybe paintings, maybe photographs, maybe other movies?
A lot of photographs. Yeah, I try and collect a lot of photographs. That's something I do. Paintings. Some of my cinematographers have kind of opened my eyes to that. They keep showing me paintings. Shanu, for example, Shanu is himself a painter artist, so he keeps showing me a lot of paintings and for the mood and lighting and as references. But I usually show references with photographs. Photographs are my go-to for references.
And as far as, like, obviously you've spoken about how music influences your writing, and I think therefore it is kind of intertwined, the whole sound piece as well as the visual feel. Like we were talking earlier, sound designing is kind of a neglected art as far as indie filmmakers are concerned. How important do you think it is to the overall process of filmmaking, especially for you? And
it really depends from filmmaker to filmmaker. Everybody has their own way to go about it, but the importance of it cannot be denied. I think as a medium, it is very critical that all these elements play out in a way which complements the storytelling part of it. So the rhythm and the degree of which you go about it that varies from, I think, filmmaker to filmmaker. Everybody has their own approach, and for the better of it and for the worse of it. So, I think that's a very personal thing of how every filmmaker looks at a story and how they want to make their narrative accessible and better for the story.
And talking about your short films and whatever you have learned. So we have a lot of young filmmakers who are today are going out and making short films and as a hobby or as a passion. A lot of Indian short films are kind of winning at international short films. You yourself went out with your film. So how important is it for a young filmmaker to kind of make a short film at the beginning of his career? How does it help you as a filmmaker when you're beginning out?
What are short films? It's a format, but at the end of the day, it's still a story. So if you differentiate it from a feature to a short, feature also you're telling a story, in the short also you're telling a story. So in some ways it is actually like a trial run. No? You're seeing how well you can communicate, as a filmmaker, as a writer, as a director, on a story. So it gives you that. I feel when you say that as effectively as possible, when you make a short film, you say this is the best way I could say the story, and then you get the feedback on it. It empowers you to kind of go to the next step. It empowers you to feel like it gives you that confidence. Okay, now this story I did justice to, and this is the feedback. I could have bettered here. I could have done this differently, and that kind of gives you that surge to move ahead and try another story. So it is definitely, it's like a trial ground. And I think when I started off, there were not many avenues for short filmmakers to show their films. I remember there was like there was a film club which was just starting, Short Film Corner. Cyrus had started. But other than, there was no avenues at all for short films. So we had to, just keep sending it to festivals, pay and send it to festivals, pay and show it to people here, screen it here. So there were no avenues at all. We couldn't put it on YouTube. YouTube now came later after that. So now there are so many different avenues. Short films are releasing in theaters now. Yeah. So it's the perfect time. The technology has become easier. People are shooting short films on their phones now. So it is definitely a platform, a medium, which I think any startup filmmaker should explore as much as possible before making that jump for a feature. Because feature is it's a different ball game. Because short film has its restrictions, and as a model, it's not too much of an investment in terms of, unless you go and splurge, that's a different thing. Too much of an investment in terms of financials, and you're not investing so much money into it, but you're still trying to tell a story which will show your craft and people will be able to connect to it. But when it comes to a feature, you're responsible for so much more. So I think it'll get you ready for that. And I think any startup filmmaker should just explore that as much as possible. Not just, I keep telling my assistants, I keep pushing them to go ahead and make short films. And I keep telling them to write, I keep telling them to go and make short films, because the more they do that, the more they will get confident, and they can take that step to make a feature. Because feature, all said and done, you don't get too many opportunities. So when you get that opportunity, you have to make the best of it. Right.
And as a filmmaker, as a 3-film-old filmmaker, obviously you've had your share of success and also of failure, if I might put it that way.
No, it was failure, no problem. You don't have to put it any other way.
So how do you maintain your integrity in a place where everybody's like trying to make money from films? How do you maintain your integrity when it comes to your material?
You hold integrity by not making money. I'm not making money, so that is the only way you still hold on to integrity. I can be blatantly honest about it that I've tried a lot of things, and some things have worked, some things have not worked, but it's been a great learning for me, and I'm only looking at it as part of learning. I'm just about making enough to survive, and that's okay for me right now. I'm able to get through with that. But if that becomes a driving force, then automatically things will start dictating for that. Then everything you do will be weird and curved towards that, rather than what you really set out to do. Because I know that I didn't when I was when I was writing Shaitan David, it was not written with intention. It was definitely written with intention that it should break even for my producer. Anyone, see, that is something you need. Like I said, I was just talking about short film. You need to be responsible for that. Somebody is investing that much into you, so you need to be responsible enough to make sure, you try your best to make sure that that person who's investing that much into you should, the least should just get that back. Recover that. Then whatever happens, bonus, great. That didn't work, okay, fine. But that much you should try your best to do that. So that keeping that in mind, I work for sure. But I don't keep in mind that it needs to make so much money, it needs to do this much thing. Then that'll I think that'll really dilute it completely. Then that you can't let that creep into you. And as filmmaker, you as responsible you should be towards your budget and everything. you should be responsible much more towards your content, towards your story. So I'm a subscriber of that. I want to be as honest to my storytelling as possible going forward also. And if that means that I'm not going to make too much money, it's okay. I'll get by.
And any final words of advice for young filmmakers who are just starting out, who want to make films?
Subscribe to Jamuura.com. No, it's an interesting time. I think it is a great time for starting filmmakers because the choices are far many now than what it was there before. There are many more platforms. Technology is much more accessible. So it's a perfect time for people who are genuinely wanting to, show off their talent, show off what they can do and deliver. I think it's the right time, and but at the same time, I just worked with this team, and a new assistant joined me. Who first film, they just had no clue, absolutely no clue on filmmaking at all. First film as an intern who joined, and already had a story ready, saying that I'm going to direct this feature. I'm going to assist on this, and I'm going to start directing a feature. I think that's a trap you should not fall into. I think you need to be really ready to direct a feature. You need to, like I said, get yourself accustomed to the whole thing of how to put things together. Work with good technicians, work with good actors, and try and experiment with the format as much as possible before you make that leap. So for filmmakers, I would say that just keep on making, keep on writing, keep on doing as many different short films as your limitation permits, and then make that jump. But I think that's the best thing I can tell them. But just keep experimenting with the format of shorts, and better your craft before you make that jump to feature.
Lovely. Thanks Bejoy for the lovely interview.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye.